China at a critical point of the history. Must China invade Taiwan very soon? If China doesn't invade Taiwan in 2025, she will collapse after 5 years as the Soviet Union in 1990. China is 20 years late on Taiwan regarding the new generation electronic chips. In 5 years, maybe less, any hacker can block Chinese industries, hospitals, even the Chinese army with electronic chips from Taiwan without standing in China. More than the Taiwan effective danger, China is living with 7 deep problems. 1. The state of Vatican. 2. The number of unemployed young Chinese. 3. China has any ideology to offer to the world. 4. The China's barrier of language script. 5. The loneliness of President Xi Jinping at the power. 6. The phantomatic towns of China. 7. China doesn't have an army of civil volunteers. 1. The state of Vatican as a potential danger for China. China must take the distance with the Vatican and the reformed cults of Christianism. The Chinese must understand that if they are so successful today, this is especially because they practice a different religion from Christianism. Chinese rulers must know that the fear they cause to the Occidental rulers is because of their success. Because their success means the end of white supremacy against humanity. And the Soviet Union collapsed began with the visit of the Pope John Paul II in Poland, joined to the support of Vatican to the Poland opposition to the Soviets, opposition against the Soviet system. Only 1 month of street protest in China may be used by Vatican with a new narrative against the Communist Chinese Party. Occidental rulers repeat the same methods against their enemies over several centuries. This is an asset for their opponents, which can anticipate their action. Second, deep China problems. The great number of unemployed young Chinese. Karl Marx was an irresponsible, even a stupid man. As a matter of fact, no one has the right to suggest to abolish people's faith in God and their right to private property. And Lenin, then Stalin, even Mao Zedong, didn't understand the cynicism and the intellectual limits of Karl Marx. It has been Deng Xiaoping who saved China from the Soviet Union Marxism heroes. Deng valorized and adopted for whole China the initiative of 18 Chinese poor agricultors, which founded an anonymous society for agricultural production. Deng understood that the mission of a communist party is to build the capitalism as the age of modernity, then extended the experience of the 18 peasants to whole Chinese economy. Socialism is modernity, and individual property is unavoidable to self-esteem, which itself is unavoidable to modernity. Then capitalism is unavoidable to socialism. This long introduction of about Deng action on Chinese economy was to say that Chinese rulers today must create a chamber of trading and industries for 20 to 25 years old Chinese investors. The concept of Great Salt Forward, invented by Mao Zedong, alluded precisely to an epic national effort for China get out of feudalism to enter in a capitalism system. But Mao didn't have the sufficient intellectual autonomy to think out the circle. As a matter of fact, communist doctrine is not an economic but a philosophical doctrine. If someone have learned communism in books, he can't understand that Jesus was communist before Vatican recuperated his image. Communism is humanism despite to the stupid interpretation of European intellectuals. Capitalism is an unavoidable economic system. Unavoidable. Even drug system was capitalism. Money is the latest creation of capitalism. Deng Xiaoping has been put in jail for saying publicly, no matter the cat is black or white, if it catches mouses. This means no matter ideologies, if our Chinese population be educated, entertains himself, and remains in good health. Chinese rulers must understand that plenty employment is a communism duty, but not a favor to a communist party to the population. Third deep problem: China has nothing to deal as a vision of the world, neither as project for a new society. When someone buys an American or Occidental project, he doesn't buy a good for consume. He buys Christian impostures. He buys blood of African slaves. He reinforced white people's supremacy against humanity. Occidental industry, and not only Coca-Cola or Hollywood, is imperialist and racist soft power. Technology is national or racial herd of propaganda, but technology for that must shows and explains an explicit social project and power. However, Chinese people, at the contrary, seems to an extraterrestrial people came on Earth to deal objects with human people. Electric cars, extraordinary bridges, dams, and military power have no soul. If someone doesn't give them a soul, a spirit, China proposed to become the first worldwide power in 2049. But China has no known opinion on slavery, racism, crime, neither on African human trade by Arab merchant slave first, then Portuguese merchant slaves. China has no known opinion on homosexuality promotion as a salvation for Catholic pedophile priests and as a future instrument for domination and submission. China has no known opinion on the artificial intelligence dangers. Anybody knows what China think about the obscure project behind the two worldwide wars between 1814 and 1945. China doesn't share Confucius' image with his clients. China doesn't vindicate the contribution of Buddhism to Essenian philosophy promoted by Emmanuel of Nazareth, Jesus, recuperated and galvanized by Vatican. China is mute on the warming of the planet, etc., etc. Chinese rulers know when someone becomes a CIA agent, this is not only for money. This is not only for money. It's first because he or she believes that believe in in the legitimacy of Occidental values, okay, as the best is the best for humanity. China must prove that Chinese way of behave is the new best for human being. It must be explicit and not explicit because it's not evident yet. Money is not power. Is not power. Power is collective mentality, behaviors, and values. 4. The fourth deep problem: the writing and reading barrier of Chinese scriptures. China will never be accepted and respected as the first power over the world if English language remains as first international language. China must choose the Latin orthography for Mandarin and Cantonese languages. In the same way, China, must put previous conditions to help a French nation. This country first must accept that half of its population learn in Chinese languages with the purpose to have them as second language. China will be obligated to make new editions of all ancient Chinese publications and publish her new books and reviews in Latin characters for foreign peoples. If China keeps English as her official language, she remains an English ex-colony and not a power. 5th deep problem: the loneliness of President Xi Jinping on the power. A country where a communist party is building capitalism system is obligated to show a collective image of power. From Mao Zedong to Deng Xiaoping period, someone might feel and observe that the main figure of Chinese Communist Party was framed by secondary figures not less prestigious who governed China after. Who cannot remember Zhou Enlai? Who don't remember Yang Shangkun, Jiang Qing, Zhao Ziyan, Hu Yaobang, Li Xianan? Who can forget Li Peng, Lin Piao, Jiang Zemin, Liu Shaoqi, Hua Guofeng, etc.? I am not talking about democracy, neither collegial governance, but about a plural image, an image of a tough team at power. President Xi Jinping is too alone on power. He looks like a musician and a dancer at the same time. A boat like China requires 4 or 5 giants into the cabin of control. Six, sex problem for China. Those phantomatic cities in China. Chinese in general make calculus on long term. But when you think on long term, you must not forget the short and middle term. Like the obligation of plenty employment, a country led by a communist party must locate even its animals. China locate and even adore in adoration her panda bears. As her panda bears, she she have the duty to locate all of her citizens. But very, very fortunately, the socialist intellectuals, we have been educated or auto-educated to get advantage for any enormous problem. As a matter of fact, China can solve 4 or 5 headaches at the same time with her phantomatic cities. China can give a lesson of logic and humanism to those who despise immigrants. China, can create a system of 15 years contracts for African people, for Latin American people, and Southeastern Asiatic peoples to work in China, and then, after 15 years, back to their countries. Those migrants will be located in the phantomatic cities administered by young unemployed Chinese. Those contracts with migrants must mention that the migrants must create a startup in his own country, with their economies while they are working in China. But previously, the government of China has to buy those phantomatic cities to their private owner. But the most important is that those migrants will be selected in their countries and take 6 months to learn Chinese language in Latin letters, learn Chinese culture, and be trained for a specific job, and pass a psychological control with previously healthy control. We must not forget that China needs a lot of workers for evaluate our desert land to convert them in species for agriculture and for building houses. And soon, China will have a problem of DNA proximity between their citizens. Then new blood, new DNA. New blood, less problem of means for a physical problem of the babies. 7 deep problem of China. China doesn't have an army of civil volunteers. A professional military is working for a salary. It's a job. But a volunteer is giving his life for an ideology. USA in Vietnam in the 60s, and recently in Afghanistan. Soviet Union in Afghanistan have experienced what does that mean, fighting against an army with ideology, an army of volunteers with ideology. Communism in China today is not a nationalist or religious ideology. There is more. Communism today cannot motivate a regular soldier to fight despite his debt. China could formulate a Chinese way to understand life on the earth, even an Asian of Confucius manner to deal with friends, families, neighbors, enemies, business associates. That ideology could become the inner fuel for volunteers in a savvy Chinese army. As conclusion, dear internauts, I thought that woman power would be the first period of Aquarius era. Then I supported Kamala Harris' campaign, but I was wrong. China's rising as first power over the world will be the first period of Aquarius era, which began theoretically on year 2000 and will remain for more or less 26,000 years. It's our duty, dear internauts, it's our duty, all the third world peoples, to valorize and adopt and support the Chinese dream as the humanity's dream. We must know and accept since today that China's rising as first power will not be a great gala feast. It will a painful give of birth of a new human society of peace, progress, modernity, equality, and respect between races, countries, and nations. We can see since 1914, 3 decades, how world has been submerged in a war culture by Christian Occidental world. All those wars are part of a satanic project for poisoning Aquarius era and maintain humanity in sickness, weakness, and poverty. Dear internauts, I am Henry-Claude Innocent. I am Haitian. I am a civil engineer, a retired teacher of physics, social sciences, and languages. I am a venerable Freemason master and a voodoo investigator. I get more than 50 years in participate in the fighting of Haitian intellectual for a rebirth, a renaissance, a resurrection of Haiti. We Haitian intellectuals always know that Haiti, nor China, nor any people in the third world can liberate itself without contribute to liberate the whole world. We believe in the Chinese dream. Thank you for have watched this video.